കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ 26ാമത് അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര ചലച്ചിത്രമേളയോടനുബന്ധിച്ച് കേരള സംസ്ഥാന ചലച്ചിത്ര അക്കാദമിയും ഫെഡറേഷൻ ഓഫ് ഫിലിം സൊസൈറ്റീസ് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ കേരള ഘടകവും സംഘടിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറത്തിന് ഇന്ന് തുടക്കമിടുകയാണ്. ഈ 26 IFFKയോടനുബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറം ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് വിഖ്യാത ചലച്ചിത്രകാരൻ ശ്രീ അനുരാഗ് കാശ്യപ് നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം ഇവിടെയുണ്ട്. ഫിലിം സൊസൈറ്റി ഫെഡറേഷൻ കേരള ഘടകത്തിൻ്റെ അധ്യക്ഷൻ ശ്രീ VK ജോസഫ്, മുഹമ്മദ്, ഫെസ്റ്റിവലിൻ്റെ ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റിക് ഡയറക്ടർ ബീനാജി തുടങ്ങിയവരും ഈ വേദിയിലുണ്ട്. 1988 തിരുവനന്തപുരത്ത് വെച്ച് നടന്ന ഇന്ത്യയുടെ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര ചലച്ചിത്രമേള, അന്ന് ഫിലിമോത്സവ് 88 എന്ന് പേരിട്ട ചലച്ചിത്രമേളയിലാണ് ഒരുപക്ഷെ ഇന്ത്യയിലോ ലോകത്ത് തന്നെ ആദ്യമായി അനൗപചാരികമായ ഒരു ചർച്ചാവേദിയായി ഫെഡറേഷൻ ഓഫ് ഫിലിം സൊസൈറ്റീസ് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ മുൻകൈയെടുത്ത് ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറം എന്ന ചർച്ചാവേദി ആരംഭിക്കുന്നത്. അത് ഫെസ്റ്റിവലിൻ്റെ ഔപചാരികമായ മറ്റ് കെട്ടുപാടുകൾ ഒഴിവാക്കി ഫെസ്റ്റിവലിൽ വരുന്ന ഗസ്റ്റുകളും ഡെലിഗേറ്റുകളും തമ്മിലുള്ള തികച്ചും അനൗപചാരികമായ തുറന്ന ചർച്ചയ്ക്കുള്ള വേദിയായിട്ടാണ് ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറം വിഭാവനം ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടിരുന്നത്. ഞങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം 60 വർഷത്തിലധികം ചരിത്രമുള്ള ഫിലിം സൊസൈറ്റി ഫെഡറേഷനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം, ഫിലിം സൊസൈറ്റി പ്രവർത്തകരെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം അഭിമാനകരമായ കാര്യം, 88 കേരളത്തിൽ തുടക്കമിട്ട ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറം ഇന്ന് കേരളത്തിലെയും ഇന്ത്യയിലെയും ചെറുതും വലുതുമായ എല്ലാ ചലച്ചിത്രമേളകളിലും അവിഭാജ്യമായ ഒരു ഘടകമായി മാറിക്കഴിഞ്ഞു. കേരളത്തിൽ തന്നെ പലപ്പോഴും ചൂടേറിയ ചർച്ചകൾക്ക്, ഒരുപക്ഷെ മേള കഴിഞ്ഞാലും നീണ്ടു നിൽക്കുന്ന ചർച്ചകൾക്ക് ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറത്തിലെ ചർച്ചകൾ തുടക്കമിട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. സാംസ്കാരിക രംഗത്തായാലും ചലച്ചിത്ര മേഖലയിലായാലും ഒരുപാട് നീണ്ടു നിൽക്കുന്ന ചർച്ചകൾക്ക് തുടക്കമിട്ട ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറം ഫെഡറേഷൻ ഓഫ് ഫിലിം സൊസൈറ്റീസ് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യയാണ് സംഘടിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്. ചലച്ചിത്ര അക്കാദമിയുടെയും ഫെസ്റ്റിവൽ അതോറിറ്റിയുടെയും സഹകരണത്തോടെ ഇന്ന് ഈ വേദിയിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്ന മുഴുവൻ പേരും ഞാൻ അവരെ പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തി കഴിഞ്ഞു. എല്ലാവരെയും ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വം ഇവിടേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ശ്രീ GP രാമചന്ദ്രൻ, പ്രമുഖ നിരൂപകനും അക്കാദമി ജനറൽ കൗൺസിൽ അംഗം കൂടിയായ ശ്രീ GP രാമചന്ദ്രൻ, അദ്ദേഹത്തെയും വേദിയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ആമുഖ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് തുടക്കമിടാൻ ഇതിൻ്റെ മോഡറേറ്റർ കൂടിയായ ശ്രീ മുഹമ്മദിനെ ക്ഷണിക്കുന്നു.
Thank you, Reggie. Reggie was giving us a brief sketch of what Open Forum is in association with IFFK. And of course, in the inaugural Open Forum session of 26th IFFK, we have got Shri Anurag Kashyap, who is a writer, actor, editor, director, producer, and above all, he has proven himself as an auteur in his films. In 2013, he was awarded the Knight of the Order of Arts and Letters at Cannes Film Festival. And, his aesthetics has been described as purely of new age and purely of new India. So welcome you, sir. Let me welcome you wholeheartedly to this open forum session. We have also on the stage Shri Beena Paul, who is the artistic director of 26th IFFK. We have also Shri VK Joseph, president of Federation of Film Societies of India. Shri GP Ramachandran, the well-known Malayalam film critic. And we are stepping into the session inviting Shri Anurag Kashyap to deliver his inaugural speech on Indian cinema and the idea of India. Welcome, sir.
I'm very bad with speech, so I'll just talk. I know, growing up, I used to watch Hindi mainstream movies, and I used to think that's some kind of a magic show. It never made me want to be a filmmaker. I used to enjoy them a lot. But when I started watching films that make you travel, like today I saw Kamatti and I was like, I saw a Kerala. that I have not seen before. You know, film makes you travel. When I was living in Banaras, growing up in a small town, I traveled the world through literature and movies. And not just traveling the world, they kind of gives you an idea of the place it's set in, the reality, economic, social realities of the place, the history of the place, the sense of the milieu of the time. We know a lot about various conflicts in the world through the movies or through literature and things like that. And for me, the film that everybody talks about so much, that I did, whether it's Black Friday or a Gangs of Wasseypur or something like that, it gave me an opportunity to, which I did not let go of chronicling the history of Bihar and UP, political history, through a fantastically told tale of two families at war with each other. And I feel films and literature, they have this kind of a thing that falls onto them sometimes to give a sense of time and place, because that's when it becomes a whole to me. And that's what I believe, that cinema gives you a sense of where it comes from. And those filmmakers are who I look forward to. And every cinema goes through that phase of up and down. There was a time I was talking about, like, you know, the peak cinema in India came from Bengal. Then it moved to Kerala. Then Kerala cinema for a time was struggling with itself. And then there was also a peak in Hindi cinema for some time. Today we are back again to south side. There's Kerala and Tamil Nadu that's making cinema that represents the time and the place. It is coming from the story. When I saw a movie like Nayar 2, I understand a certain kind of a politics of the place. Even a superhero movie when I see, like Minale Murli, you know, it gives me a sense of the world it belongs to, because it's rooted. I've never seen such a rooted superhero. That superhero belongs in that village, and you get a sense of, through the villain, you get a sense of what is an outcast and why is shunned, and there is a sense of it that comes from a politically, socially conscious filmmaker, the author of the film, which I don't find in Bollywood. The thing is about Bollywood and the idea of cinema right now, at this moment, because we're struggling with it. We also are struggling with a lot of, somehow, it always comes down to the language that they deem is the central language to the whole country. So what happens, there's a lot of pressure there, which is why, say on Twitter, you tweet in English, nobody cares. But when you tweet in a language which is local, it creates a problem. It creates an uproar. It creates a reaction. So which is why, I said that the other day also. Because as a filmmaker, I find it kind of frustrating when I am writing a script and the first thing I'm supposed to do is take out the politics of the place from it. Take it out, otherwise they say the film won't get made. When we are dealing and struggling with things like that, the things that make us uncomfortable, the three things we are not, everybody gets uncomfortable with when we are making films in Hindi, is religion, politics and sexuality. Not sex, sexuality. Sexuality makes us uncomfortable. Sex is okay, it's titillating, so you can pass it. So, you know, those are the three things, and that's a big struggle as a filmmaker. When you make a film complex and dense and you want to address issues we don't want to talk about, the producers, because the financiers is a business for them, they get scared and they're like, don't do this, don't do that. Why do you want to do this? Let's just keep it simple. Man meets woman, happy ever after. So, you know, so at this moment, a lot of filmmakers you see who I identify with, whose films I go and see, have not made a film in the last 2-3 years. I'm still waiting what Vishal Bhardwaj does next. I'm still waiting when is Dibakar's next film coming out. Because there's a big struggle going on. And because a filmmaker also finds it very hard to let go of that very basic DNA which makes him a filmmaker. I've just made a remake. First time in my life. because I could not think of an idea that did not have any politics in it. So it happens, and we are going through that phase right now. It's a struggle, and that's why I think cinema is essential to our culture today, because that is what is recording the times we're living in. And somehow it does not suit, because the whole world is going one way now. The entire world. And it's a problem that I think in a lot of countries filmmakers are facing. More than us, there are filmmakers in other countries, Russia, Iran, that are facing that kind of a censorship and blockages. So seeing them, I always try to tell myself, I can't complain. I have no reason to complain. I have to find a way to tell my story and tell my truth. That's hard. It's really hard. Because filmmaking is an art form that costs money, unlike other art forms. So which is why when I come to the festivals and I see these indie filmmakers who for that little amount of money make these amazing films, and I'm like, I used to do that, but somehow I'm unable to do that anymore. Because that also means people who are working with me suddenly, they've gotten used to that, okay, now finally after a long time we're getting paid, and now again we go back to not getting paid. So, it becomes difficult. So which is why I keep encouraging young filmmakers, because they're the ones I look up to. They're fearless, they're courageous, they're with the times, and they are representing their people. Also in the mainstream, like last Hindi film that I saw, where the filmmaker was representing his people and speaking for them in a mainstream way, in a form that was surprising and so out there, was a movie called Jhund. Where Jhund was one film that really affected me like that, where Nagaraj Manjule actually went out and he cast those very actors that he was speaking for. And that for me is what a filmmaker must do. And when I see that, you want to get up and applaud. And you also feel jealous and envious that, why can't you do that? So, the whole idea of the sense of place, in today's time and age when people don't read as much as they used to, people do read, but not as much as they used to, because now all reading is reduced to social media mostly. So, cinema has that responsibility to give the idea of the world that inhabits the film. And I think Malayalam cinema is doing that very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us some introductory remarks. I hope there'll be some questions from the audience, which,
Yeah.
okay.
Can I ask the first question?
Yeah,
before
sure.
I
Sure.
leave? I'm leaving. Anurag, I'm very I'm just interested in this whole new influx of so-called political films that is sort of flooding the mainstream Bollywood cinema. How are you responding to that? Is that a kind of taking over of space, or?
I won't say, I don't see them as kind of a political films. I see there's a wave of patriotic films or wave of nationalistic films where the whole idea of nationalism has been misconstrued, which is being forced upon people. So the whole idea that to be nationalistic you have to be Hindu first is very convoluted. And because of that kind of cinema, anything is finding so much audience. Because let's get down to the truth. In the sense, I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. So, what happens is, when the social media came into our lives, it's like everybody found a voice. And then with everybody found a voice, it took a lot of people by surprise, because everybody started speaking up for themselves and speaking up against the authority. And then what happens is the authority also, the people in charge who were affected by it, they learned how to control it. Then they slowly found a way to manipulate it. And, you know, misconstruing something is not very far away from, also doesn't fall very far away from a reality. The reality is that the privilege has passed a majority of people by. Like, I'm privileged to have education. I'm privileged to have a lot of things. But there's so many others. In my own family probably didn't have that privilege. So if you really look at it, 80 to 90% of this country, privilege passed them by. And they started using the social media to tell those people that privilege has passed you by and you are the majority. So the resentment that was with them, it found voice. The resentment came from a real place. Everybody had resentment. Everybody had prejudice. We had learned to live with our prejudices. We had learned to live with all those things. But somehow what started to happen was the prejudice got empowered. The resentment got empowered. And we were made to feel that somebody out there has taken what belonged to me. And with that idea being propagated through social media, the world has now started leaning one way. Because somehow it benefits the very few people who control all the money in the world. That kind of an atmosphere. Because we are too caught up in our identity politics, our caste politics, our religion politics, and it benefits. And we somehow seem like these people are for us. And that is what is happening across. And in that, you can't really fight it. Sometimes I feel like they also as much victims of it as we are. That's the scary part. So how do you go out and attack who? What's the face of the enemy? So, and they don't feel alone and they don't feel outcast, they don't feel anything when they watch a movie like that because it gives them a purpose. You're giving people who probably had no purpose by putting a flag saying that, okay, I belong somewhere. It's giving them a sense of belonging. It's giving them something. And that is what is being misused. That is what is being used in a very dirty way to control, to have control, to exert control. And that's where we are. So in the sense, the solution is not fighting each other. Solution has to be much more, has to come from somewhere which has to be much more informed, much more empathetic. And that's where I feel in Bollywood we are struggling because Hindi is the language that they think, even though Hindi cinema does not make as much money as Telugu cinema, but still they think Hindi is the language that reaches out the most. That also gets translated and get picked up by media across. So the focus is on that. The focus is on Bollywood and the focus is on cricket. The two soft powers that they think it is. And that's where the focus is, and that's why there is a lot of struggle. And the struggle is, the fear is much more in them. It's not that we are afraid. The problem is they are much more afraid what he might end up saying and how it might reach out to people. So, as a precaution, the blockage is put before you even start to think or make a film. So slowly what started happening is if I've made one film and I've gone through so much to try and put it together the way I wanted to, and I've compromised, second time I start becoming clever. It's like everybody says, why can't you make a film like Black Friday anymore? I said, I was innocent and naive when I made Black Friday. I became clever after trying to get the film out. And when you become clever, then you don't honestly put everything out there. I become smarter. So I know how to bypass the blockages, and in that I'm losing my truth. So that is where, as a filmmaker, I'm struggling. And that's why I love first-time filmmakers. That's when they are the purest. The purest, they might falter here or there, but they're speaking the truth as best as they can. Because I think as a filmmaker, now I don't think I can ever go back there. I still now can find things to do and use my voice for other first-time filmmakers, which is what I try to do. But yes, it's a big struggle. I wish I knew Malayalam or Tamil and I could make films there.
Hello. Hello. Good evening, sir.
Mm.
Ultimately, a film is a political pamphlet. It is said by Ritwik Ghatak. Do you subscribe to that statement?
The film is, I think, is individual to everyone. They can't, one statement cannot define what it is.
But nowadays, what you
I
are saying?
subscribe to every statement. Vis-a-vis film. I subscribe to anyone's perspective and point of view because it's theirs. Because the magic of art is that we are diverse and we are contrary to each other and we are at conflict with each other with our point of views, and that's what the beauty of it is, that we have to see it for what it is, and if I have to say something, I'm free to say it. So I subscribe to any filmmakers, any statement that they say, because if that is truly representing in their work.
But over the years, things have changed in India. That's why whether there's still now the relevance of statement stands.
See, absolutely. Like today we saw a classic, right? Which still stands the test of time. But you know, change is something you can't wish away. Change is the only constant I have known now. Things will change. Tomorrow something else will come in that we are not prepared for. We'll get excited with it and we'll start regretting it for a few years down the line. I'm saying we were so excited with smartphones. We are not so excited anymore, not all of us. Because sometimes it takes away a lot of my time. It also makes me so accessible more than I want to be. Sometimes I don't have my own time as much as I would do earlier. And the worst is, Google has made my reading less. Because one can Google everything, they read less. So, you know, I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Maybe we'll go through some other change. We can't wish that away.
Because we all belongs to WhatsApp University and
Yeah. There'll be something else.
Facebook University.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, yesterday you complimented Malayalam cinema by saying that even the mainstream in Malayalam is more artistic. Where you feel so? My second question is regarding Jean-Luc Godard said, cinema is 22 frames per second truth. But in the time of post-truth, what would be it like?
See, 22 frames per second, 24 frames per second. Now we are living in a digital age. So it is probably a lot of pixels per image now. So it really, I think we need to get over our nostalgia. And when we get over the nostalgia, we actually will live in current times. Because if you ask me, and you probably clap to things I might say, but I can't deal with my own self many a times, which you don't know. Many times I sit on a table wanting to write and I can't write. I can't write. I can't. I have my own other struggles in life that I'm dealing with. So when we have this nostalgia of what it used to be, I also have this nostalgia, like what cinema I grew up watching, or that film festival that I went to. And then I see a lot of films that I just don't relate to or I can't deal with. When I look back at how I was different from my father. From my father and me, there was a one generation gap. But between me and my daughter, the generation gap is changing every year. It's as many generations of mobile phones. So we have 15 generation gap between me and my daughter, and there was one generation gap between me and my father.
Okay.
So the world has changed so much.
Okay.
So I like to listen to young people, because you know the young people is going to tell us how the world is going to shape out.
Sir, very good evening. As you told, today Hindi films are struggling to get its roots. One thing what I noticed is, I don't know what is your opinion on that one. Today there is songs missing in Hindi films. It's only limited to YouTube end credentials or promo songs. So your stand on missing of these songs, which was very integral part of the Hindi films right from black and white era. Another thing, You had made an acting debut with Nayanthara in Tamil film. Can we see you in Malayalam film also as an actor and also director? Yeah, thank you.
I'll say I love music, but I don't mind songs missing from a lot of Hindi films today, because today's songs are written less to express and more to sell. You know, earlier songs were written by poets who had a lot to say. You listen to those songs, even if the song was not about the state of the nation, it was just about a man-woman equation. There was so much expression, and there's so much more. Today's songs are about various sounds, and they're supposed to be dancing songs. If they don't work in a disco, then they don't sell, right? So I'm happy that sometimes songs are not there. But when I watch, say, a Vishal Bharadwaj film, I want songs to be there. When I watch somebody's films, I want songs to be there. And yeah, in the sense, songs have to be about something much more than just a 5-minute customary song. And I'm glad that filmmakers are not doing that when there's no space for it. When there's space for it, they should work on it and they should put it out there. I love a good song. I can't make films without songs much. So, but I don't miss it if it's not part of the narrative. And when it comes to acting, I actually hate acting. So I was asked to play 2 different roles in Malayalam films by 2 friend filmmakers. And I have a lot of time, I was busy. Lijo wanted me to do something and Rajiv Ravi wanted me to do something. So, but it didn't happen. It did not happen because of the time constraints. So the offers keep coming, but I hate acting.
Hi, sir. We have, sir, talked about the movies, like how the changes happened in each industry. Even Malayalam had such kinds of, like 17s and 18s, we had Bharathan sir, Lohit sir. Then again, in 90s, we had Priyadarshan sir, and all those generations. And we had in between, we have lost somewhere, and now this new era had come with new things of movie making and even the concept too. But I will cite an example. When we make a classic or a good movie from Malayalam to other language, especially, they make in the sense of like a mass or a entertainer or more of compromising many things, and speak about that the people in that area or in that industry like that way. But can I ask you something, like, is it the movie makers should change first, thinking about the viewers, what is their interest, and think about that viewers won't like this way? When we have seen the Tamil movie has changed a long back, and then the Malayalam movie, along with the viewers, accepted that. The generation in IFFK and the applause we get for the movies, even without a background score or a song, says all these things that the viewers also will change. So it's not the duty or the work thing of movie makers should change, not thinking what audience or underestimating the viewers.
No, I'm of the belief that they both need to coexist. If filmmakers don't make the mass entertainers, the money does not come into the industry, and the other kind of filmmakers don't find money to make films. It's like sometimes I do mainstream stuff. It allows me to help a lot of first-time filmmakers who are not doing very mainstream stuff. Because one thing funds the other. In the sense, they both need to coexist for it to be a healthy film economy. I keep telling people that we are so fortunate to be making movies in India, that we have the mainstream to support the art house as well. If you go outside the country where they make 5 to 10 films a year, or sometimes 15, 20 films a year, and all the money comes from private funding, and the filmmakers spend 5 to 10 years just raising money to make one film. When you will see that, you will be very happy to come back here and make a movie. It does not matter what kind of a strife you are making a film under. So I think both needs to coexist. I just want filmmakers to do what they want to do the best, and not sometimes think of anything else, because the audience automatically connects with the truth. Any kind of a truth. It could be the mainstream masala also. It doesn't matter. When filmmakers often falter when they start making a formula. When they often, what this is like, this is what has worked last year, so let's make this. That's where the dishonesty sets in. Whether it's mainstream or non-mainstream. But I think all needs to coexist. Even bad television gives money that comes back in the industry that brings us something so somebody can do some good short film.
So first of all, I'm a huge fan. So nowadays we can see people are more focused on the political aspect of the film, political layer, political correctness. So we can see that. So more than the medium, I think. So how you define filmmaking and film according to you? Have you give more importance to medium or the politics?
No, for me, it's the person. I go and watch a film for the filmmaker. I don't go and watch a film for a particular star or anyone else unless there's some actors who I, over a period of time, start to believe they pick good films.
So what about the producers viewpoint?
I only watch a film by who's the filmmaker. I always watch the film because for me, I'm interested in the man who's made the film, who's authored the film, what he has to say. And if that affects me or not, if that changes me or not, or if that entertains me or not. So.
And also producing by yourself, I think the benefit of that. Can you describe?
Just to control the telling of the story. Because then the fight is my own. Sometimes what happens is when there's a producer who's under pressure with my movie, so for him the money comes first. So he won't find the best possible solution. He'll find an easy solution, which has happened to me in the past. I made a movie called Man Marziyan, which was a mainstream movie. I was not in the country and the distributor just cut out whatever was creating a problem without even me knowing about it. I find out from the press. So not to be in that situation, where at least I know if there's a conflict, I'm across the table. I can either fight it or if I come to a solution, it'll be the creative solution that I arrive at, which does not destroy the essence of my film. So I have not become a producer to make more money. I've become a producer so that I can control my expression or protect filmmakers. So that's the only reason.
Good evening, sir. Here. Hi. So my question for you is, like, I heard you speak and I figured that you believe that we are reading less and we are more on our phones, so we are actually straying a bit away from our cultures. So me being from the 18 to 25 demographic, I agree with you. I recently told my friend that films are a very essential medium to make sure our cultures are still thriving, right? But the thing is that it is becoming more and more impractical to stick to your own culture. Every culture has its own nuance, things which are only there, which many people wouldn't know about. So I don't understand, like, what would be your fine line where one still sticks to his culture yet embraces the Eurocentric standards?
I'm more of an observer of like how people are doing things. I came to terms with it quite some time back because I could not convince my own daughter to come and watch films on the screen with me because she prefers to watch it on a laptop. And after lots of arguments, I realized this is it. And then I was talking to somebody and they said, you know what? We are the migrants to this whole digital world. They are the natives. So our children are the natives, they're born to it. For them, it's like as natural as eating food with your hand. So they are the natives. And when they will watch they have the same sense of joy watching it on a laptop that you have watching it on screen. So you are having a nostalgia. You live in a nostalgia. So you deal with it. But you can't change them. So the thing is, that's when I realized that I will make anything I do, even if it's a commercial or anything, I'll make it like a movie. You choose to watch where you want to watch it. I don't want to control that. But I will make everything like I'm making a film. It doesn't matter where it shows. So that's the kind of the point I came to terms with. So when it comes to the future and when it comes to the now and culture in the sense, I'm more of an observer. I want to watch it. I'm not the one who's going to decide it for anyone. I don't want to, I don't have the need to force you to watch certain thing a certain way or do certain thing a certain way. I'm more curious to see how you are thinking. I'm more curious into how people look at the world. I'm more curious about that. I don't want to control anybody's thought process.
So one more question for you, like as an artist, you said that after you directed Black Friday, you got more clever, and then you decided to bypass certain stuff, right? So as an artist, this may or may not compromise with your integrity of the art, right? So like when you make something and then the end product is something else, and then you feel like, oh, this is not exactly what I had in mind, then how would you cope with that?
See, my struggles are very different. My struggle is, it's like when I want to do something, I'm being told not to do it for the reasons. My struggle is there. What you're talking about is not an artist. Like probably 90% people sitting here are artists. So artists there's no 1 to 10 scale of it, right? As an artist, everybody does the best they can do or want to do. Nobody deliberately wants to do mediocre work. So what you're saying is probably it's a great artist. I'm not a great artist. I don't identify with being a great artist. I like to make movies. And I like to watch movies. I like to watch read other people's literature. I like to know more. So my struggles are very different there. My struggles are only when I'm told not to do something that I want to do. That's where my struggle begins. And my struggle is limited to getting to that point where I get to do what I want to do. That's where it ends.
Hello, sir. Can I ask? Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Can I ask my question in Malayalam? Can anybody please translate it? Okay. നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ കുറച്ച് ദിവസമായിട്ട് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ സിനിമയിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയാസിൽ കാണുന്നുണ്ട് ഒരു പ്രത്യേക സിനിമയെക്കുറിച്ച്. ആ സിനിമ കാണുന്നവർ തിയേറ്ററിൽ ഇരുന്നുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ വലിയ തോതിലുള്ള ആക്രോശവും ഒരു പ്രത്യേക വിഭാഗത്തെ മതപരമായിട്ട് വിഭജിക്കുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള ആക്രോശങ്ങളൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ കാണുകയാണ്. കാശ്മീർ ഫയൽസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ചിത്രത്തെക്കുറിച്ചാണ് ഈ ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. മാത്രമല്ല, താങ്കൾക്ക് തന്നെ യു പിയിൽ കാലുകുത്താനായിട്ട് 6 വർഷത്തോളം ഇതുവരെയായിട്ടും യു പിയിലേക്ക് എത്താൻ പോലും കഴിയാത്ത രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു സാഹചര്യം ഇന്ത്യയിൽ രൂപപ്പെടുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇത് നിലവിലെ ഇന്ത്യയുടെ സിനിമയും ഇന്ത്യയുടെ സാഹചര്യവും ചർച്ച ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു വേദിയിൽ ഈ ഒരു ചോദ്യം അൺഅറ്റൻഡായിട്ട് പോകാൻ പാടില്ല എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്. താങ്കൾ ആ കാശ്മീർ ഫയൽസ് എന്ന സിനിമ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? എന്താണ് ഒരു സിനിമ ആളുകളിലേക്ക് ഇത്തരം വലിയ തോതിലുള്ള ഒരു ഹെയ്ട്രഡ് പ്രചരിപ്പിക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിനെതിരെ ശക്തമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രതികരണം സിനിമ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിൽ നിന്ന് പോലും ഉണ്ടാകത്തതിന് കാരണമെന്ന്?
I spoke about it before. No, I haven't seen a Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri film since I worked with him in one film, which is 2006. So because our struggle then, as me as a writer and him as a filmmaker, decided then that I'm not interested in him as a filmmaker. So I have not watched his film and I probably won't. But what you're talking about, the second question, I answered that in the sense there is a wave of cinema, nationalistic cinema, patriotic cinema, where nationalism is misconstrued as in order to be nationalistic, it's deemed that you are Hindu first and you're standing up for that. You know, that for me is a very false, convoluted idea of whatever is being propagated. And because it is making profits, such cinema will continue to be made and you can't stop it and I can't stop it because it's making profits. And a lot of opportunists will turn as filmmakers to start making films to cater to that audience. That's the world we are living in. So I say that we have to deal with it. We have to deal with it. Yes, everything everybody is saying is the truth and nobody wants to accept it. But then I cannot go out there and make the film to counter it. Then I'm no one to speak about it. It's very hard right now.
Hello, sir. Sir. Okay. So as you said, Malayalam cinema and South cinema are experimenting and making fresh films. So why isn't Bollywood doing it, or any Hindi cinema?
Because right now we are following a formula. Right now we are either making a patriotic film or social comedy. So if you don't fit into those two categories, it's hard to make a film. So.
Hi, Anurag sir. Hello, yeah. I'd just like to comment that I was a big fan of yours even before watching your first movie. Like I had watched Satya, but then I came to know about you more through the blog called Passion for Cinema at that time, like around 15 to 20 years back. And at that time, it was all pure passion. Like a lot of filmmakers coming together, arguing and putting out the angst.
Then we were reckless, now we are careful.
Yeah, so it was interesting to note that you mentioned about you being much more smarter and cleverer when it comes to making movies, like how to manage the system, and how to reach the audience, and even make money to budget other movies by other directors. So my question would be like, how has your passion for cinema been like? What was that journey, the passion that you had then?
That I still have for other people's films. I travel to festivals, I like to watch movies, and that passion has not reduced, that passion has only increased. But there are a lot of other things that come with it. You know, when you're just a filmmaker and you're only trying to make your film, it's much more easier. But today at a point when you're a filmmaker, we are associated with 20 different films. And any act of mine affects all the 20 films. Then you start becoming a little weak in your resolve. So for me, it's like I didn't care a damn when I was writing on Passion for Cinema. But today I have a daughter which is much older, and today I feel vulnerable. So I'm not as brave a person as I used to be. But when I see bravery in others, I stand behind them, and I'm like, you know, go on and be yourself. So that's the most I can do. But, you know, it's like the person that you love is from 2008-9. I'm not the same person anymore. I'm a little older and a little more vulnerable and a little more probably not doing exactly the same thing I want to do.
Great.
So I want to ask you about the democratization of cinema, especially because you are a producer. So if you want to make a movie in this time or any time for that sorts, you have to and if you don't have a certain level of social or economic capital, you're not able to make a movie because it costs a lot and all of that. So how do you think you can solve that? Like, even if you don't have money, yeah.
See, we were working towards that, but it's very difficult times. You see, there's a movie by Arun Karthik called Nasir. There was a movie called Sthal Puran by Akshay Indikar. Sthal Puran went to Berlin. Nasir was at Rotterdam. Even Pebbles, which was India's entry for the Oscar. A lot of movies like that do not find a platform that they should be on and reaching people. They have traveled and we have read about them, but we have not seen them, right? So making a film is one thing. It's easier to make a film. It's much more difficult to put it out there and to reach the right audience. It's very difficult. And the pandemic has made it even more difficult because when the OTT platforms came in, suddenly it was like a sigh of relief. You know, these films will find a way to reach the audience. But there's such a flood of mainstream movies that they had a surplus of movies, which was getting a much bigger audience. And the audience also started moving to the smaller screen. So the very movies that should have found a way out with the OTT platforms suddenly got left behind. And all the filmmakers, if you talk to, for them to recover even half the money has become very difficult. I know filmmakers like Bergman said that every film should make 1 penny more than invested in it. Because if your film even made at 20 lakhs, if it doesn't make 20 lakhs back, it's very difficult for the filmmaker to make the film again. So right now the struggle is that how to put it out there. The struggle is not how to make a film. Because the films are being made. You will see a lot of films there in the festival. And some of them I've seen at festival last year. And I meet the filmmakers and all of them are struggling to make their next film or wanting to put it out there somewhere.
So like the thing is, earlier, even in, especially in Malayalam industry, in the era of John Abraham and all, they used to take their films and they used to screen it directly to the masses. They used to go around the villages.
We had
and
a
stuff.
functioning NFDC then. See, there was a state, national system that supported it. We used to have Chalchitra in UP that used to screen movies. We used to have so many cinemas like Shakuntalam and everything in Delhi and places like that where movies were screened. It's become harder now. Now we have NFDC, FTA, everything all is integrated. And I don't know how much it is supporting cinema. It's like I was so happy to come here and say there was a Chalchitra Academy and there was a cultural ministry that's building new cinemas here. I walked into Sri and I said, this is government's gift to cinephiles. We don't have that in Bombay. We don't have a place like that anymore in Delhi or places like, except on whatever places were there, there are no festivals anymore happening. There's no such thing happening like IFFK there. So I'm saying you are still very lucky to be here. We don't have that kind of a privilege. So, and culture is something that they're very afraid of now because it empowers us. Art, cinema, music, culture empowers us. Anything that empowers us and makes us find a voice puts the fear of everything in them, the government. So they don't want it. They don't want to support it. So it's going to be difficult for us. But like I said, you know, worse time than we have faced. The filmmakers who made films. So it's left to each individual how you make a film and how you put it out there.
Sir, I'm here. Sir, there is an understanding that nowadays Bollywood has lost its spine, that they are not able to take their stand against any social, any social cause or force.
You see, I am not sitting straight anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. So, but was it earlier there? Did Bollywood have a spine ever? Or is it?
No, I think filmmakers still have spine. The filmmakers with spine are not making films at the moment.
Why is that so? Like,
because to make a film, it costs money.
Okay.
It always comes from somewhere else.
Good evening. Actually, did you watch the movie Pebbles? Right now, Pebbles movie. Did you watch?
Yeah, I saw it. I have seen two different versions of it.
Two different versions. Well, actually, that movie is telling about extreme love and extreme violence in the same family. Yeah.
And I can't hear you. Your mic, you're moving. Huh? Keep it closer.
Okay. Extreme love and extreme violence in the same family. They are showing that. And actually, I was very much distracted after showing that, seeing that movie, because the audience were full of clapping for that, and I didn't got that movie. Why it is so like for the? Actually, the question is for all the audience out here, and for you. I want an opinion about that. From the inauguration, IFFK's inauguration, we are supporting, we are showing that support for the woman. And in that movie, it's showing the extreme love and extreme violence in the same family. There is no sign that we are showing that the man who is doing that violence is not a...
I'm saying, when you watched the film, were you very uncomfortable?
Yeah.
That's why it is a great film.
Yeah.
That's why it's a great film. Your question is coming from discomfort. The idea sometimes cinema needs to make you very uncomfortable, because only then you get bothered by you still thinking about it. That's why it's a great film.
Yeah, but actually when the viewers, our viewers, actually, they are taking this, what they are saying, where they will not think about, I am not saying about all the viewers, most of the viewers, they will take only that what they shown there. But this type of distractions, it made us...
There's no such thing. I'm saying there's a film that bothers me, which is the biggest hit in the country. Correct?
Yeah.
It is made for a purpose. It's doing its job.
But it's not...
There's a film that bothers everybody else. It has to evoke or provoke, or something has to come out of it. Maybe some change will come out of it. But for me, it's a personal expression of a filmmaker and his world that I had never seen before.
Yeah, but what actually is showing me is, it's in IFFK, they're putting the film, not in the normal theaters and all. It's an IFFK and they are clapping for that thing. Then what will happen? Actually, what the message is going out? There's two
See,
different
message
outcomes.
is very individual.
Yeah.
Message is very individual. What you take from it. It is not, I'm saying, why do you want to control that?
The director also said it's going out, they're looking for a release soon. So actually, what message will go out? That's my question.
You
What do
should
think
wait and
about
see.
it?
Wait and see.
Yeah, okay.
Wait and see.
No. Thank you.
Yes.
Sir,
This is the last question.
I am not sure. I thought.
Yeah.
Sir, you told filmmakers are more important to you. So you have also promoted the Kannada film Tithi very widely in Bombay circuit.
GGVV.
So, Tithi, Kannada
Tithi, yes,
picture.
yes,
Yeah. So that was the first time makers. So what was how it reached you? How you will find those kind of films?
I don't find films. Films find you. See, what happens is, because I've been looking for those films and talking about it over so many years, that somehow in last 7, 8, 9 years, those films and filmmakers started finding me. So now I don't look for them. The films reach me. Like, I remember
Recently,
Tithi was sent to me by some filmmaker I knew. Like, Paka came to me because Adur sir asked somebody to send Paka to me. Or Pebbles came to me because Vetri Maran sent me the first cut of Pebbles 2 years before it came out. Vetri said, see the film. So the films come to me now, and some filmmaker or the other sends it to me saying that, like, see and tell us what you think. So that's how films reach me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for deliberating on the topic Indian cinema and the idea of India. And thank you for audience for interfering or raising your questions, keeping it very vibrant and lively all the time. I think with this, this session has set an apt forward to the open forum of 26th IFFK. Tomorrow onwards, we'll be having open forum here in the same pavilion at 5 in the evening. Okay, thank you, one and all.
26ാമത് അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര ചലച്ചിത്രമേളയോടനുബന്ധിച്ച് നടന്ന ഓപ്പൺ ഫോറമാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ വേദിയിൽ നടന്നത്. ചർച്ചയിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത എല്ലാവർക്കും ചലച്ചിത്ര അക്കാദമിയുടെ